The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, because you could be watching this at any time of the day. It is your fave duo from out here, Ryan D from Healthy Him and
Dwayne from the Networks program.
Period. And we are here on the Healthy Him show, y'all. Okay, how are you feeling today, co-host?
I'm feeling good. I was a little irritated earlier, but I'm back in it.
Okay, was it a busy day for you?
I don't know. These Tuesdays kind of run kind of fast anyway, just because we start in the middle of the day. Then we had 2 meetings back to back. It was kind of just.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just going.
Okay.
But we here.
That part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm feeling okay. Today has been a little, it's been a Tuesday. You know what the day is? Tuesday. Y'all, we also have a live audience. So if you hear laughter in the background, we live in right now. Okay, like we have a live.
We live live.
Okay, we live. Okay. And y'all know y'all can always comment, and we're gonna be glancing over to see your comments. But to begin, we want to thank Pyro Media Network for always, producing us so beautifully. We want to thank the CDC for bringing the Munty Hunty every time, okay? And APLA for giving us, the jobs here to be here.
And our personal coins.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, so we're going to get into, do you want to tell them about our services?
Let's talk about our services, yes. Right. First off, what's going on out here downstairs since you're in the clinic?
We're doing our HIV and STD testing, where you can get tested and, we don't do treatment, but we can link you to the clinic next door, GCAC. That will also, link you to care and do all of those good things. Mm-hmm. But we do treat you for STDs and STIs. So if, you got a little burn down under, little leakage, come see us. Yes. Come see us. We will get you situated and all of that. We also have our PrEP navigator. Shout out to Roberta, at Baldwin Hills. He will get you set up whether you are 18 or 65. Because you are never too old to, get your group back.
Okay. And if you don't want to come to a clinic and you want to know your status in the comfort of your own home, we have Swab and Chill, where we can deliver the black box. We can deliver a HIV kit to you with a bunch of goodies inside as well. So you get goodies, you get know your status, and we sometimes incentivize. So you can get $25 as well.
And don't forget, knowing your status is sexy.
It is. That part. And we also have the Healthy Him checklist. So for those who are Black, queer, or gay, however you identify, and you are between the ages of 18 to 39, we will give you an incentive of $50 if you get HIV tested with us and also STI tested, which is a full panel. So you get tested for syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia. Okay, we don't do hepatitis, sorry. But everything else, we got you. And we give you $50 just to be like, boom. And if you get on our VIP list, we give you additional 25. So you get 75 total. Boom.
Come on,
what else you want to say? Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's lit.
What else is there to say? Let's talk about our what?
Groups. So y'all know he loves to talk about my accent because I'm from Baltimore. So first off, on Monday we have yoga from 6 to 7 p.m. every Monday. Yes, Mantra Mondays, and it's with, you say mantra or mantra?
I say mantra.
I say mantra. Is that ghetto?
It is.
Okay. So I say mantra. Mantra Mondays.
But our in-house therapist who comes every first Thursday, Marty, he says mantra too. So, but maybe it's a regional thing because he's from
East Coast. He's from East Coast too. That's all that matters. Okay. But yes, every Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. we have yoga. And, here we're different because we use holistic approach to everything. So here we're like, with sexual health, we're trying to combine it and just let you release all the toxins and meditate and just breathe and live, you know? And then what happened on
And sweat.
Okay, that part.
Child.
He be working us. And he's a black queer man as well, which is beautiful.
You know, it's
But-
nice. I feel like I'm gonna come out of that yoga class in the next 3 months with a 6-pack all the damn core work
That
we
part.
doing.
That part.
Jesus.
But what happens on Tuesdays? What's happening today?
Ooh, on Tuesdays, on today, we have my hip hop class from 7 to 8:30. Hey Ben, how you doing?
Yes, hello.
We have our hip hop class on Tuesdays. On today from 7 to 8:30. It's a new time. That's why I had to think about it. Sorry, y'all. Where, you know, you can come out. It's for open to all levels, you know, open to all sizes. Okay. You don't have to be like slim or athletic or even know how to dance to show up to my hip hop class. I go as fast as the class is learning, which means if we only learn that 1-8 count, like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and that's as far as we get, that's as far as we get. Okay. That is okay. Like, I'm not, you know, it's not Millennium. It's not any of these other, you know, commercial dance studios type of classes. I could do that, but this is not what this is for. My class is to have fun, to burn calories, and to make people feel good about themselves.
Period.
That's it.
We love that. And last but not least,
Okay.
on Thursdays, we
Yup.
have BQT, Black Queer Talk. Okay. Black Queer Talks. We talk about things between love, sex, relationships, and all those things in between, okay? We're creating a safe space for Black queer men between the ages of 18 and 39, because I don't think we can do higher than 39, honestly. But we're trying to create a space for those up there as well. But right now, it's 18 to 39.
Right, I have
our
suggested
demographic.
it to the good doctor, and we will see.
We love that. But yeah, we're creating a safe space because we don't have many spaces here in Los Angeles. And it gives people a place to go to if they don't have anywhere else and just to feel comfortable. And you also can still, you know, get tested or just be in a space where you can just talk and just get out all the things you want to get out if you can't afford therapy, because therapy is so freaking expensive. So,
but also learn about things that you need to learn
That part.
you know, as a baby gay or as a new gay, because,
Education.
you know, not every gay is, you know, young. Not every new gay is young. So, you
That
know,
part.
last week at BQT, we talked about anal hygiene.
We did.
So we taught the girls how to properly douche. Okay. You know, if there's a smell left, keep going. If there's a color in the water, keep going. If you pass that sigmoid, you better be there for at least 2 hours because you will gag. All right. But if you want to learn more, come to the group every Thursday.
Yes.
7 to 9.
Yes. Hello. Thank you. Period. And without further ado, let's get into Wish Poppin'. Okay.
Whoosh. I wish we did have like audio or something like that. We're gonna talk to Kwame about that. I want some Bel Khalifa in here.
So Wish Poppin' is our pop culture segment, y'all. And we're gonna talk about what's going on today in society. So without further ado, let's get started. So apparently there's a rumor that Magic Johnson was donating blood to help those affected by COVID-19. Okay. Magic Johnson, for those who don't know, retired in 1991 after his status was revealed to be HIV positive. Okay. So obviously this is a rumor. For those who don't know, HIV positive individuals cannot donate blood. That just
But like, where does this rumor even? How do you even start this rumor?
I don't know, but he's been defending himself down as like, stop saying I did that, I didn't do it. Like, obviously, why would I do that? But then I'm trying to figure out,
you don't want to be locked up.
how can donating blood help heal those with COVID-19? I just want to see where was the correlation. I'm just trying to figure that out.
Especially since it's a respiratory
that part
infection / disease.
That part. And he's been openly positive. So I'm like, why would he ever be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna donate blood? And like, that just don't make sense. Like, that makes no sense to me.
Exactly. So moving on from that ignorance,
okay, next.
We have a video surfacing of coaches and students putting cotton in Black players' hair. White player also joined, apparently to mimic famous Hawaii Little Leaguer. Little Leaguer?
Yeah, you said.
Okay. All right.
So there was a video of a Black Little Leaguer who was letting a coach and a bunch of other students put white cotton in their hair. And automatically, you know, Twitter went in a frenzy because it was like, why are you doing this to this child? But then apparently there was a new picture released where a white child was also doing the same thing because they were mimicking a Hawaiian Little Leaguer who happened to be, you know, loving this other person and just like, okay, let's follow them. But I think we're trying to normalize it because a white person's doing it, but I feel like still the principle is the fact that you putting cotton in a Black person's hair. I get the whole mimic portion. It can go either way for me because I get how they want to mimic and like, oh, they have white hair, I want to be like them. But it's like, it had to be cotton and it's a Black child and you got these white people putting it in their hair. It don't really make sense to me.
I just need more context. I need to know, you know.
There wasn't much given.
where the resources are, because this sounds very similar to that one video that was surfacing a couple of months ago of this.
The hair.
Yeah, where the teammates, a team of majority of the white counterparts were undoing the black girl's braids in the video. Now, what we did not get from that context is that the braids weren't allowed in the game for them to play. So in order for them not to get disqualified, they were just like, we're about to take this out real quick and fuck them up. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah,
we got a warning label. We have a warning.
But yeah, so that was the rest of the context for that video. So I just want to know if it is a similar situation, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like very much so like they didn't think too hard on how to make that vision or dream come true for that child.
But then that kind of raises a question for me, like, as Black people, do we automatically always go to this is like racist mindset? Because for me, I automatically went there.
I mean, it's PTSS. I feel like it's
ingrained in us.
It's PTSS. It's post-traumatic slave syndrome. So of course we're gonna go there immediately because we have trust issues with white people and still do for good reason. We are still getting beat. We are still getting less pay. We are still getting a less respect. We're getting less everything. Everybody has gotten reparations. Every other ethnicity has gotten some form of reparations, except for the African American community. So therefore, until then, yes, we will. And we can.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. And that's just that on that. Next, let's just wish Kobe Bryant a 44th birthday today. Today is his 44th birthday. Rest in peace. Okay, we love you. Hope you resting in peace. Living with yes, about to say. His wife, I want to say Sabrina. Is it Sabrina? I can't remember her name. But his wife.
Mrs. Bryant.
Yes, Miss Bryant. Mrs. Bryant.
Oh. Thank you, live audience.
Mrs. Bryant wished her late husband a happy birthday today, and she said, "I love you" with a post of them like kissing and all out, and it was really cute. Today he would have been 44, sweet. So yeah.
Oh my God, I love all that romantic stuff.
I cannot. Next, we didn't mention last week, but it happened last week. Solange is the first ever Black woman to be composing a original score for the New York City Ballet. Can we just give a snap on that, please? Okay. She's out here. She's like, I don't need to be like my sister. I'm original, and she's very original. We live for it. And without further ado, for those who can see, pretty on fleek, this is Nicki Minaj.
Do we really have to get into that?
We do. I'm a huge Barb, and we have another Barb in the building. No shade. So, period. I cannot. Stop hating. It's okay.
I mean, it is her first ever only solo, so I guess we can mention it.
Yes, exactly. She's had many number ones, but this is her first solo number one.
With help, because
sweetie, anyway. Her first solo number one on Billboard Hot 100.
We can have a conversation later.
First Black female rapper since 1998, Lauryn Hill. Okay? No one has had that title since her. And there's been many other female rappers, so we want to get into that. Hey. But nevertheless, that wraps us up on What's Poppin'. Let's get into it. Now, can we welcome in our guests, please? Can we get them on? Yes.
Yes, so
we got Byron Keaton and Caleb Walker. Come on in, please. Come on in.
Hey, everybody.
Okay.
Here.
Okay, we is here. So today we talking about we is delivered. Okay, I'm delivered. We talking about being Black, gay, and in the church. Okay. So you want to take it away, co-host?
Yeah, let's do it.
Take them.
So let's just start off with what makes one like religious. Like what qualifies somebody to be of a specific religion or like religious or sanctified.
Oh, sanctified. Now you turning it.
Those are two separate things.
No shade.
And that's why we have y'all.
Okay.
Because I don't, I listen to it on the radio.
I would say I struggle with the word religion because you can do anything religiously. Like your religion could be going to raves, your religion could be watching porn, your religion could be going to the gym. Yes. That's the religious part. Sanctify is to live a life in accordance with God and His word and His will. And a lot of people who are religious aren't living sanctimonious lives. That's kind of...
Is anyone ever?
I do think that there is a way to be sanctified and be Black and be queer. we just have to like reconfigure the way that the Black church specifically sees religion, because there's like been all this like movement and words around, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But how do those spiritual practices and those generational things that we've learned, how do we take the meat and spit out the bone and find what works, what serves us, what impacts the community in a healthy way, and what's par for the course? Because a lot of what we know to be church and know to be religion is built on systems of white supremacy.
Speak on that. And I just want to, I want to add value. I want to add value to that. So eloquent, brother, no shade.
Okay.
Just to build on top of that, as he was saying, especially from that white supremacist standpoint, as per usual, a lot of things we take and correlate and colonize from the historic influence of that, right? So, like you said, religion has its own thing. And what I like to classify when it does correlate with spirit is the classification of God, right? So, meaning like that's why you have your whole things of I'm religious and I'm spiritual and however the girls identify and all that they, them, theirs in between, right? But as he said, you can do anything religiously. And just like the girls making their own house, they're making their own religion nowadays. No shade. And they mixing.
Okay.
So the girls are mixing. But anyway, I digress.
Come on, cross-culture references.
Yes.
So how can being gay and religious go hand in hand? How do you guys feel?
Yeah. How do we bring those two together?
Yes.
I think that queer people, especially queer people of color, naturally have a deeper connection to source. Some people call it source, God, Allah, whatever you call it.
Right.
I think to be able to embody multiple energies and the same like innate creativity, innate continuity, and just ingenuium. That's a Latin word for creativity for those who don't know. It really, it's already in us. You know, there's a reason why the choir directors are normally Black gay men. They're the ushers and the deacons are normal because we naturally, innately, genetically have this ability to tap into source. So it's already there. I think it is now how the church fully embraces and integrates the integral pillar of the community, because without the choir, without the deacons, do you really have a church?
And like he said too, behind every little thing there is a butch queen. No shade.
Come on.
No, let's be honest. Get your button. So it doesn't go hand in hand. It exists organically already. And my thing is, I'm real big on identifying the intersectionality on the collaboration of spirituality and sexuality. That's another reason, like you said, we do stand in the forefront naturally. And even when you try to ostracize us, mind you, in my youth, the greatest prayer warriors I knew were the girls. No shade, because they were the ones ostracized and had to know God for themselves. So they know how to call on spirit and yield as spirit does accordingly. So we're getting into Romans now. But anyway, you know, so it doesn't go hand in hand. It exists organically, like Whole Foods, no shade. So in that capacity, there it is.
Okay, so why do you feel like certain church people like condemn Black queers that are, do want to be a part of church, that are a part of church, that do know God, that do have their relationship with God? But
you want to start this? Because I'm going to take it deep.
No shade.
Ooh. So, hold on, what's going on?
This is my brother here.
Yeah,
so we're going to go.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why we have y'all here.
No shade.
Come on, let's get into it.
As I like to say, a projection of my excellence. I've always been crucified for my authenticity. That's another reason why I knew I was on the right path. Because mind you, one thing we negate, the Bible is really used to be in historic examples of what, not only the origins of Christianity, but what to emulate, right? For lack of a better term. Because we realize in the human essence, we need a point of reference. You know, baby, tell us that it's human nature. Mind you, you see what I'm saying? So, with that, that's another reason why it gives and anybody, the gag is they're born into that. They're born into the colonized viewpoint of this is wrong, right? So of course, if you're taught it in your youth, even the Bible declares, teach them young and they won't depart. You see what I'm saying? So we get them while they're young. The gag is, and I still see it to this day, Black queer men who were liberated actually got a good Judy, who actually even married a man. And he came to visit me in LA, and I forgot how we got on. I think we just was doing a check-in spiritually, and he got emotional because he admitted that even though I am in my authenticity, I'm still unpacking breaking down and loosening those childhood traumas from thinking this is still wrong. And I married this man, no shade. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm in it fully, but I still struggle with undoing what I was taught in my youth. You know, so that's why we got to be cautious. But the reason that happens is because, and most butch queens do, because no shade, I went through my pastoral process, and like they say, spirit and in truth. But girl, when I tell you, I wouldn't even have news on my phone. No shade, you're gonna keep it a buck. I would delete everything before I step in that church, like, and everybody not authentic to that process. You know, which is why there's not many are called, but few are chosen. No shade, no shade, right? So in that, and keeping in regard to the topic of question, thank you, Lord. That's why the girls project that, because they're still fighting for what they know and they think is right. And the gag is most girls don't lead in spirit. You see what I'm saying? They're going off this template, which is carnal, which is what stifles the girls. But I'm gonna digress for you the mic right there.
And just really quick, before we pass the mic, for those who are watching that, you know, for the baby gays or for the gays that are not in ballroom, what is a butch queen?
Oh, work. Can I please?
Go ahead.
So, as we all know, historically, the ballroom scene was birthed out of the 70s. The Pepper LaBeija, who was renowned drag queen at the time.
You better give them the history.
No tea. I'm a historic reference. You know, renowned drag queen out of the East Coast in New York. And there's a sickening clip I'm actually make sure we share with you guys to share this on the social medias. Where they were getting jaded and discriminated, of course, in these competitions. So very much as blacks do it anyway. Let's do our own. Let's make our own. So in this, the ballroom community stemmed from drag queens, or as they identified, femme queens, right? So of course, as the femme queens started to develop the scene, the girls, you know, also wanted to partake, but of course it was exclusively known to the drag queens. Mind you, in the community, it gave, well, okay, let's open it up. So come on, OTA, open to all anyway. But so when the black men started to compete to add value to the inaugural term of femme queen, we were known as butch queens. So meaning that identifying the intersectionality of the feminine and masculine in one vessel. So a butch queen just is our way of saying black gay men. Mind you, there's different variations of butch queen, but it right here are butch queens, because we're black men, and this was to also give us a license and jurisdiction to step on that floor with the femme queens. You see what I'm saying? So anytime you hear that, it does stem from ballroom, but it's really just our way of affirming us as black men in collaboration with the community. And also, too, to give more value of that. See, I am affirmed because it's a term of endearment, but like me, you can't leave one off. Like, bitch, don't call me. I'm not your queen, no shade. But butch queen down, I would. Like I live, you know what I'm saying? So it's very important that you use the two. But I'm happy you asked, because
that was a great question.
Yeah, it was, no shade. And I firmly believe that you cannot talk about identity and agency without the butch queens, the pimp queens, and all the them that
can't, won't. You will try.
Yeah.
So to get back to the question that you posed, the real thing and the real issue is that religion, how we know it, or Christianity, how we know it, was actually taught to us as a means to enslave us.
Speak on that.
So you have, like, in ingesting that and understanding why the black church is so oppressive and regressive towards the queer community is because the system was built on punching down. The reason why we have this idolatry of white Jesus is so that the slaves would not see themselves in God. So when you try to break that down and understand why the community has this way of punching down and ostracizing the queer community, you have to understand that that was the way that it was designed. But most people are not aware that the King James Bible was commissioned by a gay man, which is King James. So I think a lot of people aren't really ready to have that conversation, because a lot of these preachers, a lot of the people who espouse all of this stuff haven't actually read the Bible from cover to cover. They're getting a fifth version of what they learned from their pastor and what was passed down from 500 years ago that was all rooted on how can we set a system of these Western civilized ideas of what society can be, and how do we make sure every person in society subscribes to these same set of westernized principles. Oh, let's conflate it with their faith.
Yes, yes.
So in the western side of Europe, homosexuality was frowned upon, but in Greece and in Rome and Eastern, they was having it was a party.
They would shower together.
That's what I say all the time.
So waffle, man. Waffles and waffles.
As we dissect how to move forward, and how we have to really, when I say holistically, we have to remove the white supremacy from our faith. We have to, and also reinvigorate our faith with our ancestral roots, because Africans, we already knew God. We just call him a different name. So we have to get back to that ancestral connection, I think, and that ancestral connection, and that's actually where our power and where our wealth is, reconnecting back to our original faith. And because I see it and learned it to be that faith is just our human way of breaking down or comprehending something that is uncomprehendable. There's more than one access point to God. So the Muslims call him one thing, and the Buddhists call it something, and the Christians call him God, but there's more than one access point. Now, because religion, they found that you can get a cute coin from it and made it into a business, it's about segmenting the way that you get to God, segmenting the way that you access the creator, so within that they can set rules and expectations of how to operate in it. So in order for us to get to the other side, we really have to deconstruct our faith. And for the old saints, for the people who think that they are sanctified and covered in the blood, it's a lot to ask them to deconstruct what they've been taught and what their mother taught them and what their mother taught them. But it wasn't good for us. It wasn't meant to be good for us. It was meant to subjugate us. And us acknowledging that, this is where we all will get our freedom.
And the gagging it as well is that, think of the correlation, as we always say, the shepherd and the sheep. There will always be the sheep naturally, because anytime you want to influence somebody, put it in their face and put it on their media down. You know, and the girls gonna naturally lead. You know what's trendy, what's wild. But like I said, that's like you said, human nature to kind of congregate, to formulate culture and just be a part of something. So naturally, they're gonna lead, they're gonna follow without thinking for themselves. And as you see, sometimes the gag is that their process is delayed and it come years later, but still it's so foundational. They gotta break them yokes, you know, that chain, that concrete. Come on, Bob the Builder. Can we break it? Yes, we can. But anyway, but I'm living for y'all today. I'm excited to be here.
So I'll pose this one last question before we go to our commercial break. So I don't know if y'all agree with this, but I feel like everyone sins to some degree at some point in their lives. So if everyone sins, how does one dictate one sin is worse than the other? Like, basically.
Go ahead.
Like because we see it all the time in the Black church. The contradictions and the
projection.
I do this, but that's not that.
And then I also want to add kind of like a second part in there, if y'all can. If God forgives, why don't we?
Okay, so
start with that.
Those are two completely different things and very huge questions. But I will start with the sin. The Bible says that there is no hierarchy for sin. Sin is sin, and God hates it all.
Right.
But because He gave us Jesus and He gave us grace, that's what the Word says. It's all covered. It's all sufficient. Because the way that the church and the way that we interact with it is a business and it's so oppressive, there had to be a certain level of metrics put in place to be able to delineate its power and have authority and be able to in some ways make it exclusionary, because the Catholic Church has the power to excommunicate people based on what sins the bishops and the popes feel like is too egregious to be covered by God. But also as a means to continue to govern the greater society outside of the church, there had to be a way, I can rob and steal money from the church, but if you're a prostitute or a sex worker or you're gay, I can shit on you and take money from you and penalize you. And because, back in those days, the church was also government. They could take your land. They could take away your birthright by saying that you were excommunicated. So it really That's not what the word says, but that's how the mechanism of the faith was able to control its populations.
Yeah, and also too, to add value, I'm reminded of which we're going to unpack later in these segments. So also for the few of you who don't know, prior to my arrival to LA, I actually did do I was in the middle of my pastoral process.
Yeah.
So,
Come on, Pastor Keaton.
Bishop B, Bishop Queen B. That, I was actually doing my pastoral process while I was being going to co-pastor a church in St. Louis. And in that, I remember, we talk about that later, but I had a dream doing on assignments. God was basically like, I was sending you to Hollywood. And look, even in my years to come, I'm still going to be here. Anyway, that was 5 years later. So,
let's minimize the.
No, I got you. Commercial break. So in this,
I'm talking about the table beating. You can talk as long as you want to.
I'm crying.
We can go to commercial
okay,
whenever.
budget. I got you.
Midwest girls be really
expressive. Yeah, okay. So, can I do like this? Would that help?
Yeah. The mic is just picking up all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, work. I did a couple of live show, but can y'all see me still? Anyway, so, anyway, so I'll never forget, which is another reason I know I have to always be in my boldness. God had told me how I would stand in that gap of the Butch Queen Saints, no shade, and God gave me this ideology to even explain sexuality and the sin. Mind you, look at it. We're at a pizza buffet. You have a meat lovers, you have a pineapple and spinach, my favorite, then crust down. You know what I'm just saying? You have shrimp and agave. Ooh, no shade. Word. It is. Okay, we're excited, girl.
Gourmet pizza.
Okay, right.
We got berries. And mind you, here I am, the hetero man. I have a cheese pizza, right? The gag is, I'm the hetero. Oh, my pizza better than yours, healthier than yours, thinner than y'all. But I'm like 8 slices in out of my 12, right? We got the Butch Queens, the shrimps, the meat lovers, right? Barely touching your slice. God revealed that all this piece is a sin. And mind you, while we over here giving, mine's healthier, mine's less, I didn't damn near finish my pizza. And you got the good girlfriend over here, the Butch Queen preserving themselves, actually being a holiness, this, that, and the third. But no, the gag is y'all bring all the pizza before me, I'm going to trash all of it. So there's no equal, no matter what your flavors are, that pizza is the pizza. The carbohydrate is the carbohydrate. Yeah. It's going to bloat you, big. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So there is no greater or lesser sin in that. Like he said, it goes back to our systemic and carnal ways, even adding value to your second question, where if I can just go ahead and flow right into it, why God forgives and we don't. We are extensions of God, right? But like they say too, we are all we know in this human realm is polar balance and a beginning and an end. Mind you, we are trying to ascend to a God-like consciousness, which is why, even how the Bible speaks of a thorn in the side, which is a certain ideology of like, you will always have a struggle. Or even how even the Lord said there will be poor always. Like naturally in the earthly realm, we will always have a sense of carnality, which is why we fight, or that's where faith come in, because as we venture into the unknown. But it's also so crazy because as even they teach you in the church, don't be so heaven bound that you're no earthly good.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying? But the gag is God is God and forever will be, right? We are born into this carnality, so we can't help but to be in that. That's why we can't forget. I'm gonna hold on, I'm gonna project, I'm gonna put stuff in my own power. That's why the execution of that is rooted in so many things that are carnal, such as pride, which they consider a deadly sin, and all that jazz. So God is the supreme divine being, who know better than I. Don't give me to worship this on my songs, but that's why God forgive and we don't, because mind you, we're still trying to ascend to that consciousness. Yeah, and you know what I'm saying, we're not there, and the girls ain't gonna be there. So that's why some girls lay hands in worship, and some girls lay hands on falling in fur.
Some do both.
Yeah, some do both. Yeah, church girls don't hurt nobody. You can be my daddy if you want to.
If you want
Ain't that
to.
what the songwriter just told us? So, but yes, that's why God forgives, because we don't. We're still trying to reach that God-like level. And like they say, try Jesus, not me.
No, I'm that girl.
Because my uppercut is still sickening.
I'm that girl. I can lay hands or I can lay hands. It just depends on how Lord leads me.
It's the duality of it all. So I hope that answers your question on my end. From my lens.
Okay. So if God forgives, why don't we?
How do you feel?
I think. And I can only really think about this through the lens of being a Black gay man, right?
That's why we're here.
I think for us, trauma is in the membrane, like it's in the bone marrow. It is like within us. We hold it. It's intergenerational. It's passed down. There's traumas that are handed down to you that you don't even know that your grandmother, her mother, mother's mother was dealing with, right? I think it is within human nature to kind of keep a record of wrong, even if we communicate it or if we don't. And to kind of to my brother's point about, trying to get to a godly or ethereal consciousness, it is, it's difficult for a human mind to conceive it, but I have just kind of gotten to the conclusion in my life that our purpose for really being here is to have this experience.
Right.
Because if God didn't want us to have these experiences or wrestle with these things, we would not be here. Like God is the void, but also the abundance of everything. And in that he created vessels that had free will. And in that free will, because the thing is, whether or not you forgive, like you really have to forgive the people who harm you for you, because if you don't, there are all these other things that kind of happen to you. I believe that the number one cause of cancer is stress. Like I've seen that within my own life. I feel like own personal story of mine is that my favorite aunt, I got her tattoo right here. She passed away due to unforgiveness and stress. And the cancer really took hold of her body because of dreams deferred and passions never sought after, right? If we don't forgive, there is a physical manifestation that happens in our bodies. God wants us to give, but he gave us free will to not do it, for it to be on our timing, because he's God like that. He wanted us to experience these things. Now, there is joy and there is abundance and there is life more abundantly in forgiving, because that was his design. That was his will. But the free will comes in because it's going to be here whether or not you want it, but I want you to want it for yourself.
Yes, and just to end with that too, like, that's one thing I always like to tell people. God is not a dictator. He knows and sees all. So he giving us game. No, I'm not telling you forgive for me, but literally release yourself. And the other thing is it's intrusive to the execution of God, because I can't dwell in that heart space if you're feeling that with that. You see what I'm saying? I can't be in that. I can't thrive. You can't
fill a full cup.
And I need my spring water. So let's go to this break. You right.
Okay. It's a good conversation, y'all. We'll be right back after this brief commercial.
Are you in need of a quick and easy way to know your HIV status? Swab and Chill is a discreet way to learn your status in the comfort of your own home. The process gives you results in 20 minutes. Swab the upper gums, swab the lower gums, and voila! Simply follow the colorful step-by-step instructions located inside the kit. Or call APLA and we can assist you virtually. In addition, all kits include condoms and lube for that penetrative fun. For our trans clients, we have Swab and Chill Plus, a customizable kit for trans-specific needs. And we haven't forgotten about COVID either. All kits include personal protection gear, like face masks, comfortable yet stylish, a personal touch tool for dealing with those germ-infested handles and ATM keypads, wet wipes for those little messes that need cleaning up. Also, keep that summer body protected with Swab and Chill sunscreen. And don't forget about our fanny packs for those quick trips to the store. All this can be yours. Simply call Swab and Chill at 323-329-9713 or email us at swabandchill@apla.org. We would love for you to be part of our Swab and Chill family.
Swab and chill with us.
We are talking about being Black, gay, and in the church, y'all. We've been having a great discussion. So if you're just joining us, this is the ever legendary Byron Keaton. Okay. And we have Caleb Walker over here. Thank you. Thank you both for being here, first off.
Okay.
I didn't have to say that.
Thank you for having us. I love what y'all do.
No, absolutely.
I love the diversity in the room right now. Just look at us. Look at all this melanin.
Look at Black people. We're not a monolith. We look
Okay.
different.
You hear me?
Do.
That's what Black core success look like. And
That's just what it look like, okay?
Hello. Shout out to the unicorn.
Okay.
Okay, that's your uniform. That's your uniform. Yes.
All right, take us to the next
All
question.
right.
Mhm.
So, for those of y'all who don't know, like Ryan said, we were talking about being Black, gay, and in the church. So, we left off on if God forgives, why don't we? And moving into how does being Black, gay, and in the church affect one's relationships/sex life?
Oh, this is a good one.
Yes, give us the ooh-ah sensation.
Yes. Okay.
Let me take this one.
Go ahead, brother, please.
I recently got back into the church, like literally 6 months ago.
What brought you back?
There was just this void that I could not fill. There was just this thing in the back of my head that I just could not satiate, because I do believe that there is value in faith. There has to be. I look at it almost like a covering. Like, life is too hard to walk around with no covering, with no protection, with no like source bigger than yourself to look to make sense of all of the mishigas that we experience. And I shopping didn't do it, sex didn't do it, relationships didn't do it, money didn't do it, and it was like I happened to find the place that allowed me to show up in the fullness of who I was, and I didn't have to segment myself or put on a Steve Harvey circa 2003 suit in order to be comfortable or able to move around. And
but we love you, Steve.
No tea.
Love you down, but your fashion game has stepped it up, baby.
Yeah, amen.
Shout out to your stylist and Mallory.
Yeah, it's a Butch Queen too.
Butch Queen down. So for me, like, I was the gay that I didn't go as far as to delete all my nudes, but I thought it was convicted, but it was actually, it wasn't conviction. I realized it was indoctrinated shame that I felt after having sex or after being with a boy, that made me very uncomfortable and made me feel like, well, is this wrong? Am I going to hell? But baby, you were like a Stockholm Syndrome child. You were conditioned to believe that who you were was damned.
Yeah.
So if you're taught as an early child that who you are and your natural affinity, your natural emotions, your natural orientation is damned, it causes a lot of.
What does that mean?
Like, to damnation, like you're damned to hell.
Like
you're literally damned.
Okay.
And for me, my story is a little bit different because I went through into a religious conversion therapy.
Wow.
Where I was getting electroshock therapy and hypnosis to make me straight. Like, if you could pray, I'm an intercessory prayer girl. If you could pray the gay away, I would have 8 kids right now. That just was not I know I'm a beat bitch. That's not my testimony. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not what it was for me. And coming back, and I had this beautiful moment with my mother where I was actually able to bring my mother to my church. And there was so much healing and restoration because in that moment she got it, and she said, which really touched me, that she felt God in that place. So it was like her releasing me and understanding that I was able to delineate the toxic stuff from the substance of what it was, because prayer, I find God in 2 places, in prayer and in music. I find God in worship, and I find God in intercession. I don't necessarily live for the spoken word, because how I interpret the Bible might not necessarily be the same as that a preacher, because not every preacher reads the Bible. Let's be clear.
Sometimes they just kind of go.
A lot of them, and it's not what I experienced with my pastor. My pastor, Pastor Sammy Haynes of Vision Los Angeles.
Shout out.
If you want to be somewhere at 10 a.m. on Sunday, we're at the Zephyr Theater off of Melrose. God is there. But I have had pastors where I didn't feel no oil. I didn't feel a connection to what they were saying. But through prayer, that's where I find my way into source. And then through worship, I find my way into source. I think it's so important for us. I think it's especially as Black queer people who do walk this intersectionality where we get it on all ends. Other than, to me, and I'm going to speak for Caleb, other than Black trans women, there is no intersectionality that gets much hate, trauma inflicted on them than Black gay men. It's Black trans women and Black gay men. We get it the worst. We need some type of place where we can lay all our shit out and just be and just express ourselves or find refuge and find strength. And one thing from the Bible that I always lean on is the name of the Lord is a strong and mighty tower, and the righteous run in and are saved.
Amen.
When I was pushed out of my church, I didn't have any refuge.
Yeah.
I didn't have a space where I could lay all my burdens down and say, I don't understand, and that's okay. But going back into the covering and the sanctification of God I found joy and I find peace in it.
Yes, my brothers, I want to add so much value. Before I unpack the question from my lens, I do also want to address some of the substance he gave us, right? Even like, for example, using how people go to churches and the ministry don't have oil. The oil is the way we identify, like you said, the presence of God and the fellowship of the saints. Also, too, like, for example, when someone's preaching, the Bible teaches us to try the Spirit by the Spirit. So usually naturally it does a move of God, you feel it. That's what connects us all. Yeah. You know, where two or more gathered, and that's also, I love how he said too, with him returning back to the church. There's also this thing, scripture that speaks of negate not the fellowship of the saints. So usually like when you're, you know, it's innate, you know, and the gag is, even if you had a horrifying experience, you desire to seek a genuine spirit. Like you never give up on God.
Yeah,
it doesn't make, you know,
he won't give up on you.
Because he won't give up on you. Anyway, it's not okay.
The choir over here.
Down. So anyway, so in that, and then he said something else that was just so amazing, but I licked for you down. But let's keep it in regards to the topic. Another reason, like I just said about giving the example of my friend earlier, it's so foundational, and the thing about that, what gets so moggy and sticky. And shout out to my mom, I love you. I saw your comment. I love you down.
Hey, Mama Keita.
Thank you for tuning in. Yes.
We love you and your son.
Okay.
Good one, sis.
Show did.
Yeah, you have great taste. God loves you down. But yes, so the thing is, it's embedded into you at your foundation. You know, in your youth when you're such a sponge. So the thing is, sometimes for some people, the scary-eyed realization is that, can I really get over this? Some people live with this because in a way they will always feel as if they're unworthy. You know, especially I still see this to this day. And another dear friend who also texted to me, and I'll never forget. Prior to his coming out, I met him. He used to date one of my best friends. And that's when we identified the spirit. You know, like I said, I was going through my pastoral process and all that. And what was so crazy, I started to identify that once he fully blossomed into his Butch Queen power, I started to realize that the spiritual aspect was missing. And I knew from the discernment, I knew I could pull him aside and be like, what's really going on? And the gag is, he was like, Byron, outside of you, I don't know how to affirm my sexuality and my spirituality. So now that I'm basically fully blossomed to a Butch Queen, I negated the spiritual aspect. I left that because I didn't know how to be in my wholeness. And in total, you're literally the only example of that. And I'm like, dang. So of course, pressure, but I love that. I love it. So go ahead.
I think that part of it that the church doesn't actively realize, and in their refusal to embrace the Black queer community that's already in their house, you're pushing them into spaces that they're not prepared or capable to deal with. So I know for me, or a lot of us, we run into environments that are not healthy or safe for us, trying to find God in the experience or find love in the experience when everything we really needed was in the house. Because a lot of our churches were designed, especially in the 1950s and 60s, to be refuge against oppression and racism and be pillars of our community, right?
Yeah.
And pushing the queer community out of those spaces, there's definitely a correlation between all those church boys and girls that were pushed out of their ministries and straight to the piers in New York City.
Yes.
Or straight into prostitution and whatever that looks like in those communities for survival and part of unpacking the trauma, the religious trauma is, or feeling like you're good enough is you went from the covering, the proverbial covering of the physical in your home or in that church, in that community, to outside in the experience and the trauma that you experience in that is compounded with the trauma that you experience foundationally. So it takes a lot, it takes a lot of time to be able to delineate the two and be able to compartmentalize and say, okay, God didn't do this to me. God didn't give up on me. These are these other people's experience. This is these other people's, crisis of faith that projected onto me. These are these other people's inabilities to really see God for not who, but what God is. God is not a he or a him or a they or a them. God is everything. You can't say, like I had this, we had this convocation at I Elevate. Shout out I Elevate, that was actually produced by my pastor, Sammy Haynes. But there was a speaker who said, something as meek as a human, how could we give God praise when praise be unto God? God is the thing and the force that created all of the universe. So we've put all of these limitations and stipulations and responsibilities and role onto God that God does not actually do, when God assigned us to live life, live it abundantly and live freely, but there is a way for us to live it and be prosperous, and that is outside of sexuality, that is outside of what society has deemed to be the worst sins of them. You know what I mean? Like, even to go and take it back to this whole thing with this bishop saying that Beyonce sold her soul for singing Church Girl. If you really listen to Church Girl, Beyonce is talking about God's promise. We were all born free. There's salvation for all of us. And it's not the stipulations that society puts on us. According to the word, Beyonce is living a sanctimonious life because she is married under the covenant of a marriage. So what she decides to do in her marriage with her husband that she likes to call daddy if she wants to, that's between them and God. It's not for anyone else to assign damnation or condemnation for her when she's actually in covenant.
Okay, so when people have these like conflicts and things like that, how do you feel like it affects one's mental health?
I think it has a profound effect on one's mental health because it is fundamentally who we are is created from the ages of like 4 to 9. Like everything that we experience from that age are the foundations and the building blocks for who we are going to be as people. That's why most therapists say, go back to your 7-year-old self, who you were at 7, that will reveal to you who you are as an adult person, right? So when you are not able to come to this kind of reconciliation where I can be Black, I can be gay, and I can be Christian, or I can serve God, or I can have a relationship with God, you're really segmenting your identity unnecessarily. You're saying, okay, well, to your point, in order for me to find peace in my body, because my flesh or what I see, what I feel naturally is I'm attracted to men, or I'm a woman and I'm attracted to women. Okay, in order for me to satiate my physical mind, I have to let go of religion in order to tap into that. But we are meant to be creatures that have a spiritual and physical experience, right? So you're basically telling people to be paranoid schizophrenics. You're basically teaching, but the word says to live in spirit and in truth, but we're teaching ourselves to lie. We're teaching ourselves to segment ourselves unnecessarily, when the conclusion is, like, most people don't realize, and I say this all the time, multiple things can be true at the same time.
I say that all the time. I say that.
It's not, oh, either you're gay and you love God. No, I can love God and love a nigga.
Twice. God is a nigga. Amen.
Okay, he's my favorite.
So, and
he's the quintessential ride or die.
Okay.
Do you want to ride? And like, think about it too, right? Let's add even more context to this. Look how solid this table is. This is me building my spiritual foundation, and here I go, right, in my youth and my adolescence, looking up to these pillars of spirituality from me, i.e. my mother, i.e. the bishop in the church, right, i.e. the deacons or whatever. And the ideologies that they're spewing to me literally loosen the foundation and pull it from under me. I'm literally falling because gravity still works, right?
Okay.
I'm literally falling, and in this attempt of falling, I'm trying to catch myself. And everything I thought that was foundational and true and what I naturally love organically is not there. Or I don't have the carnal aspect because, see, already right there, I have to make a choice, as y'all see. So that's where that teetering gets embedded even at their infancy. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it takes sometimes a lifelong journey to identify or affirm the intersectionality of just who I organically am.
I can also give data to context of how it affects the mental health, specifically the conversion program that I was in. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to get sued. But I had to present my mom
we don't want to get sued either.
The data of individuals in this program. A third of them end up killing themselves. Another third end up in a life of crime or addiction. And I had to break it to her, and I was like, okay, you can either have a living gay son or a dead straight one, and you can assign whatever roles or whatever imagination that you want for my life on that. But this process is killing me. It's killing my joy. It's killing my sanity. It's killing my peace because I can't reconcile that God could be the God that we say he is in church and then turn around and say that he made a mistake on little old me. The same God that is infallible, the same the God that was yesterday, that's the same as today. How did he mess up with me and now I need to get electrocuted to get right? That doesn't make sense to me. So there's a huge correlation with mental health. I think a lot of us, if we were affirmed foundationally in who we were, wouldn't experience the mental health crisis, because a lot of people don't know that there are mental health conditions that are genetic, right? That are triggered based on trauma. So if the trauma piece is removed, well, that baby maybe would have never ended up bipolar, or that baby maybe would have never found out that they could have depressive disorder because there was no trigger to that depression. So it really starts foundationally in us loving on our babies.
As they are, and
life is going to be hard enough for them outside of your four walls. So if it's already going to be hard outside those walls, and you take the foundation from up under them, what do they have, and how does that inform the way that they show up in the world? A lot of this is death and destruction,
right? And then you expect them to really thrive from that. Let's be honest. Let's really think about our contribution to this. And I'm telling y'all. I don't know if it's triggering, but I've literally seen triggering. I've literally seen this play out in my life in certain relationships. I kid you not, and like going back to how it affects the whole relationship and sex, because now this is what I thought my foundation of sanctity and refuge was. Now y'all leave me out here, I'm coping in sex and unhealthy, and that's why I got monkeypox vax now. No, let me stop. But so think about it. You trying to be right. You sending your good girls to camp. You can't do this, you can't do that, but you really think your child is going to thrive with no support.
That part. But yo, we have one last question because we're about to be out.
Okay.
What advice? We try to make this brief. What advice would you give a Black gay man who is struggling between who they really are and their religion?
Be who you are for your pride. Don't hurt.
I am crying.
Yeah, twice. But what I would give is that you are more than enough. You are a surplus. Come
on, surplus.
No shade. You to how you feel. Question yourself. Don't always question the world. Ask how am I showing up? How does this make me feel? Affirm yourself in that. And then I kid you not, watch the world adjust to you. Watch, and that's simply put.
Period.
I will say, and I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to take a deep for a second. But I said a few minutes ago that everything that you need is in the house. Your body is the house. Your body is a temple, and God dwells there. Use that. Sometimes we call it your conscience, but that is God. That's what the gift that he gave us, right? Really trust that, and to thine own self be true. There's another word that says, trust in the Lord in all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding. Part of that is trusting yourself and what feels right and what makes sense, but also find community. I know that there are the Ahmads of the world, there are the out here's in the world, there is ballroom and all these spaces that are becoming widely more acknowledged and available to you. But finding a community, because really what it is that, and I think a lot of it, how it factors in is in taking out that foundation, we take out people's moral compass.
Yeah.
So how do you operate? How do you show up in the world when your moral compass has been removed from you or your moral compass has failed you? So what are the guardrails for your life without morality? Finding a community, finding people, finding resources that are going to uplift you, that are going to motivate you, that are going to get you where you need to be, and know that, as corny as it sounds, is that you really can manifest whatever life you want for yourself.
Yes,
and you gotta put it out there. You gotta speak it and declare it. There is life and death in the power of your tongue, and you have to actively speak about what you want for your life. And those provisions. This is the last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna be done. But wherever God is giving you a vision, He's also gonna provide the provisions to see you through. And you have to trust the process. You have to trust. It's not gonna be easy. There might be some nights where it's gonna be you and God. It's gonna be you and Jesus. But you have to trust that you are gonna make it through. That He's gonna supply every one of those needs. But you have to be obedient. Sometimes it means taking a pause away from your friends and family. If they don't mean you no earthly good, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm setting a boundary for myself. And in order to have peace in my heart, we don't know God the same. Or your God may not be my God. What you believe may not be what I believe, and that's okay. But I'm not going to take your abuse. I'm not going to take your trauma. I'm not going to be subjected to your triggers, because the God that I serve, the God that I love, tells me that I'm free and free indeed. So I'm going to trust in that, and I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you at 10 a.m. at the Vision LA.
Okay,
but senior pastor Sammy Haynes.
Amen.
Okay. Without further ado, thank you guys for watching. This is the ever legendary Byron Keaton and the wonderful Caleb Walker. Okay.
We're storming the ball tonight.
Oh, no shade. That's not running.
You don't have nothing to say?
I don't.
Okay. It's your favorite duo saying bye.